repeat. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get us started because it's one after. I'd like to thank you guys for being here for the Hangover panel, as we fondly refer to it. I am still Darren Bush, the track director for the media track here at Monsterama 21. I'm going to go ahead and let our wonderful panelists introduce themselves in just a second before we get into the meat of this, as I continue to get set up. But this is basically what we did, and I think everybody in the room knows this, but just in case. What we did is we put a YouTube video out 2 or 3 weeks ago with the 4 of us talking about 3 movies that we're going to watch. We watched them, and now we're here to talk about, did you guys do the homework? We did the homework. Let's talk about how many mistakes we made on the before panel. Because I stopped counting at 118. So I'm going to start on the far end of the table. Let you introduce yourself to our Monsterama folks.
Hey, I'm Kelly Frank. I'm an artist and a writer, and I used to do this kind of stuff professionally with a group of students as an English professor, and now I do this for funsies. So hey, what's up?
I'm Ellie Rain. I'm a fantasy author, and most of these movies I have not seen or have forgotten about, so it's very fun watching them now as an adult. I'm wondering what they were thinking. Okay.
And I'm Kyle Mitchell. I'm the second director to this guy this year, and I'm also a published poet, and yeah, excited to nerd out on all this stuff this year.
And I'm still Darren M. Bush. I'm a science fiction and fantasy short story writer, and also spend an inordinate amount of time creating content and doing content at Atlanta sci-fi and fantasy conventions, including Monsterama, which is one of my favorites. All right, so then let's do this. We can't put it off any longer, guys. Here we go. So what I want to do is basically just want to ask if, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Anybody do the homework with us? I know Robert did. Thank you. Excellent.
Well, except for, I had the Apes movies and the Tremors movies on hand. I couldn't bring myself to watch Jurassic Park 3 again.
It was so bad.
Okay. But I noticed you said again, so you'll be able to keep up with us here. So panelists, show of hands, be proud. Did you skip any of these 3 movies?
No.
Excellent.
I wish I had. I wish I'd skipped Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah,
that would give me physical pain.
Oh my.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we've anything from the panels before we get into the first of the three movies, 3 third movies. No. Okay. Everybody awake?
Not yet.
I got my caffeine right here. All right. Well,
right.
Took my
so let's
check back with me in 50 minutes.
I almost forgot mine.
Speaking
for this panel.
So speaking of depressants, let's start with Jurassic Park 3. Since we've already started talking about it,
God.
I want to go on record as saying that I watched the before panel right before we got here, and I went, "Wow, I had my Jurassics mixed up." Yes, we spent 10 minutes talking about the wrong movie.
Well.
Kelly?
That's how unforgettable how forgettable
this
it
movie is bad.
That's how unforgettable it is not.
Right.
All right, so Kelly, as our resident Jurassic Park expert.
God help me. Where do you want me to start, about this movie? Because, there's, a litany.
So what I was going to do was I was going to crawl up into a ball under the table for 10 minutes and let you take over and just shudder.
Because I had a lot of rage, and I'll try to tone the rage down.
Okay.
Okay.
Minimal rage.
Okay, so first of all, Sam Neill is the only good part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
He makes, when he's like, "It's a bird cage," I was like, "Oh, it's a bird cage." And I just thought of The Birdcage, the movie, and it just... It brought me joy. So that part always brings me joy. The pterodactyls are good. I like the pterodactyls.
They are.
That's about it.
I'm gonna little nerd moment here. They're not dinosaurs, but they're good. Go ahead.
I know, but they were good. I liked that they included the thing from the original Jurassic Park book where they're walking around on their little arm wings. I still got mad and paused when the Spinosaurus killed the T-Rex because that is not accurate. The Spinosaurus jaws are not designed to be able to grab something around the neck and break its neck. That is not something that it would anatomically be able to do, and it infuriated me on many levels. Stop screaming.
God, stop screaming!
When you're going into the woods
like
and
the
you're
first-
being hunted by an animal,
Like the first time,
screaming does not
okay.
help.
Like the first time, okay, you didn't know any better.
Yeah.
After that first time, they still did it. Several, like, it was like a
Yeah.
dozen times. Like, I remember in the chat, I was just like, stop screaming!
And then they're
Stop
talking
it!
about, oh, well, we miss our kids so much, and they play this wholesome music, and I'm like,
God,
I hate all of you.
dude.
I hate every one of you. Dr. Grant needs to just ditch you
It was so
and just leave you.
Oh,
And just, you guys just enjoy your pee. That's your jars of pee. That's what you deserve.
all right, let's deal with the elephant in the room, okay? I know this is gonna be controversial, and people are gonna get upset at me for bringing it up, but did the black guy die first, or was he second? Right? Like they even went back to that, which is there was
They did.
one
Classic
African American gentleman.
And
Uh-huh.
he did, right?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Was
Yeah,
he the
he
first one to
first.
die?
Yes, he was,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, there we go. All right.
Here's another one.
Should've
What
been
was,
Jimmy.
here's another one. What was his name?
No one, he didn't even know.
Right?
Gun guy.
Right? Right?
With the-
My point is made.
I wish they'd spend about 15 more minutes on them shooting airplanes in the desert. Because I really enjoyed those three idiots.
Yeah.
They're like, one bullet can take down a Cessna sitting on the desert floor. Dinosaurs can walk. More importantly, they can run.
Yeah.
The world's experts on shooting things were like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes a sequel that isn't that great will add a bunch of extra characters that are only there to get killed in some entertaining way. Whereas in the first movie, I remember all the characters, because
Yes.
each of them had a reason for being there.
Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect example of amateurs, bring these professionals. Like, you ever go to a party and somebody invites you to the party and they bring you because you're going to class up the joint? That's
Yeah.
kind of what this was. And then those cool people get trapped there and like, why did you bring me to this party?
Yeah.
I've never
That was
passed
this one. That was this movie.
So what
That was
about?
Dr. Grant in this movie. That was Sam Neill throughout this
Yeah.
entire movie.
Yeah.
I actually like the first scene where Dr. Grant is going to give a paleontological talk.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a big audience, but he starts by saying he's not going to address the events on the island or in San Diego, and half the people leave. And I wonder if Sam Neill feels that way about his career, because he's given so many great performances in a long career, but Jurassic Park's probably been seen more than all the rest.
I mean, I
Yeah.
bet he does, but honestly, like, if I saw him, the movie that I have that I would want him to autograph is my copy of In the Mouth of Madness, because that's my favorite. That one or Event Horizon, those are my two favorite Sam Neill movies, so, I don't know. Probably, but I don't know. This movie was just a waste of him. Like, it wasted him so much. He's trying so hard, he's delivering lines, and he's, like, working, and everything else is just...
Yeah.
Even the CGI looked kind of dated. Like,
Yeah.
compared to like the first Jurassic Park?
Yeah. The first Jurassic Park still holds up.
Yes.
Because they were trying to be subtle and smooth. And
Yeah.
in the third one, they were like, new dinosaur that eats everyone. And, guys.
Yeah, also, the first one blew people away because it had a level of effects for that we had not seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They blended the practical effects
With the CGI.
the CGI nicely, and they did it really, I mean, it still holds up really well. And the actors pull it off, and in this one, it was just like, uh-oh, dinosaur, run away! Uh-oh, dinosaur, run away! Oh no, this one has an alarm system built in, run away!
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I have a lot of brains for this.
And stop screaming.
Well,
I can't
like-
believe
Every
think they would-
freaking 5 minutes.
You'd think they would learn, but it kept going.
Do you know what the most frustrating part was?
What?
They didn't die.
I was so angry.
They
I was
weren't
angry
punished
that
for their
Jimmy didn't
sins,
die.
yeah.
I was like, no, this guy should die. I saw a pool of blood
Yes.
come out from the river. Why is he still alive? Why did you spare him? He's a douche.
He is.
God.
a douche.
Whoa.
Like, he had that coming.
But-
and-
Sorry, I hate Jimmy. I
The
really
real
do.
horror,
yeah.
it's real life. That's the real horror, is the bad the bad people that get the good people in trouble don't ever get punished.
I mean-
They don't ever have to face the consequences. And this one took on kind of more of that corporate, these are rich people and wanting to use it for their own greed, kind of, right?
I wanted them to
And-
die more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they took that kind of angle on this one as well. And to your point about, we're going to be talking about this in one of the other movies as well,
Yeah.
right? You get to the third movie, and now what do they have to do? Well, now they have to fly, right? We've got to get stuff to be able to attack you from above as well.
Yeah,
Yes, very good.
Right.
I'll have to
Right.
remember that for the segue later.
by land, by sea, by air.
Well, I did like the pterodactyls, that was in the original novel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I loved that. It was nice that they finally got to that part. I was like, well, this could have been great in the first one. It's kind of the best part. It's like really one of the best scenes in the whole movie. Is that moment when it kind of comes out on the catwalk and comes out of the
Yeah.
mist. That was like one of my
Oh,
favorite
amazing shot.
moments.
And it is unbelievably large,
That's where the money
Yeah.
went.
which is
That
which is
part.
accurate.
Yeah,
Which is accurate.
yeah, I hadn't thought before about how scary those would be when they're on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just so they move so alien,
Yeah.
and that's paleontologically accurate for how they feel like they walked around. So I mean,
Yeah.
like that's I love seeing like them actually do that right. Jurassic Park doesn't get a whole lot right scientifically, but that it got right. And
Yeah.
that made
Watching
me
the DVD extras and stuff like that is just so much of that. Like, after the movie, we found out that none of this was really, and it's like every single one, there was a discovery after
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah, and you
You
just
know?
kind of want to be like, here's a dinosaur encyclopedia. If an 8-year-old can read it, so can you.
Well, yeah, one of the things that was missing from this movie was the little kid who knew more about dinosaurs than anybody
Oh my
except
gosh.
Sam Neill's character.
But you kind of had Jumanji, happen, right, with the kid that got stranded on the
Yeah.
island from the parachute,
Well,
and then he
yes, but
now was like Robinson Crusoe.
how many days did he survive by himself?
Oh God.
It was like 6 weeks or something.
It was,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it was
and then
six
as soon as his parents showed up, he turned back into an idiot,
Yep. Yep.
right? He's
It's called a
like,
regression.
It's what?
It's called a regression.
yes, thank you. Yeah, no, absolutely. He was. We did not get to really see him survive the island, but as soon
Yeah.
as his parents showed up, he went back to Mommy, Daddy, and run. I'm like, oh, come on.
Stop
Why
screaming.
wasn't he schooling everybody on how to survive?
So my big issue was like him trying to learn how to survive on the island for 6 weeks should have been the movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's
That
the
would've
movie.
been so much
That would have
better.
been the movie. I
Yeah.
would have loved to see this kid like trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to survive and learning how to keep things away and
Yeah, like,
trying
how
to
did-
gather his pee. I
Or-
don't know, like just doing all
Right.
this stuff. But like he's
Yeah.
he's Ramboing it out there.
Right.
He's figuring out how to get away.
I don't know what that actor looks like these days or what his
I mean,
career
like-
is, but like bring him back for the next one, and
Yeah.
Like,
now
I-
he's
yeah.
he's like this
Like
super.
he's a dinosaur.
Bear
mixer,
Grylls,
like,
you know.
Yeah, like he's
Yeah, like,
just,
I
he's got
would've-
his own TV show.
I would have wanted to see the impact, the moment of impact with the plane crashing and the pilot trying to jump down, and the kid's face.
Yeah, because like the parents are so boring. Like his parents are so
And they're so stupid.
So like I mean, and I know the actors like have talent, but it was not coming.
the script.
like,
It's-
yeah, the
it's
script was
just-
just
Oh, no.
so bad.
Let's-
Always blame the director, never blame the actors. That's
Now
just
let's
how
be
it goes.
clear. It's William H. Macy and Tia Leone.
Yes.
They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
But the material
I mean,
and the direction they were given was clearly
yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
There's nothing they could do about that.
So in other movies, he was the shoveler, and only William H. Macy could pull off the shoveler.
Yeah.
And Tia Leone stared down a tsunami created by an asteroid hitting the Earth.
Yeah.
And went, yeah, whatever, come at me, bro. So these are really good actors.
Yeah.
What the heck? They didn't use them at all.
Wasted.
Like
Just
Tia, do
wasted.
that thing where you scream again. I was like, oh, come on.
But
Come
they
on.
played their characters, right?
They what?
They played their characters, right? Those are the characters they were.
Yeah, I know, they were-
did
that's
it
What they were,
right.
what they
Yeah.
were given.
That's what somebody was saying.
You made a movie right where the characters you were supposed to care about, you cared nothing about.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
became so irritating
Yeah.
that you wanted to get eaten.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right,
then-
right,
and then
exactly,
and then
yeah.
you didn't even get that satisfaction.
No.
Yeah, I
And
was
so
trying
it's
to remember
just-
who played the father, and the fact that I couldn't remember William H. Macy in the case.
Isn't that weird that
Yeah.
you're like, I'm watching this movie again a couple of weeks ago going, this is really an amazing cast.
Right? That's
Given-
what I thought.
given
watching it.
nothing.
I was like, wow, this is.
Gave an, and, okay, so should we deal with
I
Laura?
hope they got paid so well for
Yeah,
this.
me too.
Because like. This,
Somebody put money into this.
Because someone watched this and was like, ooh, my career. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
So I hope they got compensated for that, because that has to stay on their resume.
All right, so let's, you ready? Okay, brace. Laura Dern. What?
Wasted, yeah.
So she married some other guy. They had kids.
Yeah.
There's that teaser at the very beginning where he's like bouncing a little kid on his knee and telling her,
Yeah,
no,
I
it's
was-
the boy. It was like, "Rrr, rrr." No, those are both herbivores. Rrr, rrr.
I was very confused because,
Yeah.
like, at first I thought, oh, that's his kid. This is his wife. No,
Yes.
what?
You're supposed to think they're his kids. They're not his kids.
Why?
I was done at that point.
Why?
Yeah, so you have a little
What
bit of
was the point?
that nostalgia and stuff like that, and then to use her as like this kind of
Comedy relief.
Literally,
I think
literally Deus Ex Machina.
yes, that's totally.
She literally called the government and the government came and saved their butts.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
fast, too.
Yeah,
Well, and what's
Yeah.
even more insulting is like when I looked at this, from what I could tell, it looks like she had like second to top billing right after Sam Neill, and she has like no role in this at all, except just to
Yeah.
call the government and be pretty in the background, and I was
She
just
probably
like,
had that in her contract. I want nothing to do with this movie, put my name on top, and
Yeah.
just give me 2 seconds
it's
on
just,
screen.
it's just such a waste of her, because she's a good actress.
Yeah.
like one of
I was just gonna say, one of the things I found most insulting was that it implied that she and Dr. Grant had a relationship and that it hadn't worked out, but all of that happened off screen, we never see that happen. And that was one of the things people really wanted to see post Jurassic Park.
This movie is a
Oh, yeah.
study
Yeah,
in
so
what's
basically-
happening off screen.
Yeah.
So basically
And
they-
the fans of the franchise are
So they basically broke the rule of show versus telling
Oh, God.
in stories.
You're right.
And now, like, you can tell things, sure, you know, you need a balance. But the things that you tell versus the things that you show should
Yes.
be based on what's important to the story and what the audience would rather see.
Yes.
So if you're telling us the things that we want to see and showing us the things that we don't care about, there's a problem.
Yes.
I mean, clearly this was not made for us, right? It was made for a more mainstream, I don't want to say lower intelligence audience, but
they
maybe a
would've wanted-
younger audience.
Even they would have
Because
probably.
even one of the things that was most insulting to me was the MacGuffin of the film, the sat phone, and how it kept you have to
Oh.
dig in the dinosaur poop.
Dude.
And then when it, pretty good drama when they're on the boat and it keeps sliding this way and then sliding that way out of
Yeah.
all the time to get to actually, phone home.
I think what
To
bothered
get
me
that
about
help
that so much
from
is because
Laura
everyone
Dern.
remembers that. Everyone remembers that big pile of poop in like the first movie, and
Mhm.
Malcolm just being like, "That is my big pile," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like they're like, "Poop was funny. Let's put poop in this one." It's
Yeah.
funny because it's a callback, nostalgia.
Yeah.
It works. It's like, guys,
Yeah.
you can't just throw Laura Dern in and have poop and then like be like, "Oh yes, I feel the same way. This movie is making money."
It was kind of a good metaphor though for the whole movie.
I mean, it really was.
Although, like, the
Reaching.
one, I think the one thing
Yeah.
they definitely got
Yeah.
accurate in this movie was the toddler getting distracted by the TV.
Oh yeah, that was
100%. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my daughter.
that was totally.
Wait,
That's my
did
daughter.
you just say the most scientifically accurate
Yes.
part was the toddler?
Yes.
And the TV?
And
I think that,
I've never seen anything more realistic in that movie than that.
That,
wow, that is a great place to end.
That should be the tagline.
That
of
should,
this
yeah.
part of the.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to call honest trailers and have them
Oh,
put
wait.
in the part.
So the pteranodons were good too. So what is it? Toddlers and pteranodons? So
Oh, oh my God.
Oh my
There we
god!
go.
And then you've
Yeah.
got, and then
that's
you've got
my
the
only
parents
zinger
going,
for the day.
"Do the dance! Do the dance for the pteranodon!"
Perfect.
Well,
To dance.
unfortunately,
It's like the Pee Wee dance.
you saw it here at Monsterama. So for our 75 people in the audience, what, no laugh on that? Does anybody have any parking shots on Jurassic Park 3? Does anybody want to admit that they actually liked it even though, no? Really? No? Okay, all right. That's really, yeah. There's always one person in the room willing to go, no, I liked it. I know you guys are right, but I liked it anyway. Nope.
I don't remember who wrote the script, but it seems like a prime example of where they know there's more money to be made out of something. But but don't have any natural way for the story to continue or an interesting way to develop it. So there's contrive a way to get people back in the same situation.
Yeah. You have just perfectly set me up for the segue to the next film, which goes like this. So one of the things that they did in Jurassic Park 3 that we said was actually cool, like the 8-year-old boy in me was very excited, was the pterodactyls. They were awesome. They really were that size, guys, which is great. And so yeah, you've got this element of this is kind of why we're doing the third movies, because the way that they do the third movie in these 3 series is very different. So here we go. In Jurassic Park 3, they were like, well, let's throw in something that we didn't do before and see if we can get the kids to come to the theater and give us money. And they didn't really have more to add to the story. They just kind of rinse, cycle, repeat, right? But, as Kyle said about 10 minutes ago, Tremors does a really excellent job of upping the stakes every movie, at least up until the third one. So let's spend a few minutes talking about Tremors 3. First of all, does anybody have a very strong opinion one way or the other, hate it, love it?
I loved it.
Kind of,
It was hilarious.
yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was funny. One of the things I like about the Tremors series is they know what they are. They don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
I would say that the Tremors series as a whole probably sets records for lampshades,
Yes.
right? And for those of you who aren't aware, a lampshade is where the art refers to itself. It steps outside and criticizes itself. Like that part in a movie, the Scream movies are 90 minutes of lampshade, that's right? Where somebody in the movie will go, wait a minute, isn't this the part where the killer kills you because you just said you're going to live to the end? If this was a movie, right, that's lampshade. There's a part in Tremors 3 where the kid says, Mom, take a photo of me in front of the tremor. And the jerk in the hat goes, it's called a graboid. That's perfect, that the film is making fun of itself. So Kyle, what do you think about the progression from ground to land to air?
Underground,
Underground,
above
ground.
ground, to you running on ground, right?
Oh, you know what we're going to get eventually? Tremors in space.
Tremors in space,
Psychic tremors.
So tell me,
So
Tremors.
yeah, you had to do it. You had to progress to that, evolve. Dare I say,
Evolve.
to that level. Though I don't understand the evolution of the shedding of the like snake molting kind of thing that was in there too as well. What?
Oh, and just going to say the cool thing it does, besides giving as a new form, is it completes the life cycle of the creature.
Right. With the egg, so they found the egg in the creatures, and then they're like, oh, this is kind of how it's made, and then the circle of life.
Alien did it better, just saying.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh, wait. That's a very
Well, yeah,
deep
that is
discussion. Yeah, that we were
different
having the
panel.
other
I
night.
know, I'm just.
But yeah, for me, it kept pulling me in and out of it. But I did like the move to finally. Okay, now they can hit you from the air, and of course, you know, in true Tremors fashion, a perfect name for this new breed of,
Go for it.
Of graboid, the Ass Blaster.
Yeah.
I love it. I was sitting there like, oh my god, it's a fart cannon, and they came out with that name. I'm like, that's even better.
Yeah. So Kelly, were the ass blasters scientifically accurate?
Oh, hell. I mean, they, you know, the ass blasting may be something that you see in toddlers. I have seen that. I have seen that in infants.
Projectile diarrhea.
The projectile, yeah, it is.
Toddlers
a
and
thing.
Tremors.
Toddlers, pterodactyls, and tremors. This is
Yeah.
perfect. This is we're getting a whole series.
Yes. I'd like to apologize for not naming the panel correctly.
It's okay. There's always next time.
Yes, it's always next year,
And
yeah.
we'll have T-shirts by then.
Oh,
Yes.
God. Let her finish.
No, it's just, I don't know. I like this movie. It's very, like, the first time I saw it was very funny, and the second time, like, I've seen this movie a million times because my mother is obsessed with these movies, and so, like, she just puts them on, and every time I go to visit, they're on in the background, and they're funny at first, but the more times you have to watch them, the more you're just like, wow, what is this saying about, like, the pushback against the Environmental Protection Agency and eminent domain, and I don't know, like, that's where I go, I'm sorry. I've just seen this movie, like, probably a million times, and, like, after a while I tune out and start analyzing it.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw it this time, like, Burt Gummer, the character that runs through all the movies.
Yeah.
It's, he's always so likable and amusing and obsessed in an entertaining way. And
Yeah.
this time I was just thinking, do you think this guy voted for Trump? Like, is
Yes.
he part of the problem?
Well,
No.
yes.
Yes, yes, he is.
Probably yes.
Regardless of
Yeah.
how you feel about politics, I think we can all agree that he was in the demographic, yeah. There's that one scene where he's in the middle of nowhere, and he's got his fortress of solitude or whatever,
Yeah.
his fortress of basement, and he goes up there, and he walks through, and he's just kind of like, yeah, good to be home, and you hear his own voice go, please enter secret access code, you have 8 seconds before I kill you, and he walks over to the pad, and he goes, he's in the middle of nowhere, and he's looking to see if somebody's going to look at his pin over his shoulder.
So if he was in The Sims, he would have the paranoid trait.
Excellent.
Yeah.
He'd feel comfortable in basements, like that's his thing, so.
So what did you guys think? Good? Enjoy?
Oh, definitely enjoyable.
I got a medium in the back there.
It wasn't a waste of time.
Yeah.
Not a waste of time. Okay.
Yeah.
no.
And by then,
Not always-
they established a really enjoyable formula where whatever they plan initially goes to hell, but then they improvise
Mhm.
with what they have available and find a way to deal with it.
Yeah. Were you the one who pointed out that the mattress would kill them?
Yes, when they're carrying the mattress, I was
Yes.
like, okay, they're gonna die of an infection or
Yes.
something from this mattress before the ass blasters get them.
In the back.
I was gonna say, Tremors series as a whole is a good background series. You can just have it running and it's kind of, you look up, oh, that's funny. But like Jurassic Park 3, like you can't run that in the background because of all the screaming and all the stupidity and so angry. Tremors 3, you can just have it running, you're like, look, the blasters. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Good point.
I
You-
like how
you
they
really-
made it. I like how they made like a fighter jet sound when they went.
Yeah, So it was like, that's a good thing. Let's mix that right in there.
Yeah. One thing I'm worried about is if teenage kids ran to the junkyard to try and make cannons themselves. Yes, sir.
The one thing, you brought up the mattress scene, and I can't remember if they established the Apple Watch before then or not with the underground, but they totally ignored it. Here they are carrying this mattress, and if the underground one is still there, it could still track him because he still had his Apple Watch on at that point.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, also I
Yeah,
got it
El
right.
Blanco.
El Blanco, yeah.
Which that might be my new favorite movie romance.
El Blanco, his
El Blanco
token graboid
and Bert. I mean, she clearly, they,
Speaking of
I don't
that,
know.
Wait.
Speaking of that,
She, her? We're back to she, her?
Yeah, or they, yeah, they.
They,
I
them.
don't want to judge. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Well, okay, so...
They had loved
Yeah.
Gummer. Yeah.
Yeah, Gummer love. Is each tentacle considered a separate entity? So it is actually they, them, regardless of gender preference?
So is this
Makes
King
sense.
Ghidorah now? Like,
What?
is it King Ghidorah now? It's got 3 heads. It's got like every head
Well,
has a different personality.
So the tongue, right,
Yeah.
comes up out of the ground and goes over to, what's the guy with the hat's name? Tour guide, is it Billy, Johnny?
Jack.
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 Well, that's pretty close. So it goes over to Jack and it's like, okay, so what is it doing? Right? So it's up there. Is it just padding around like a blind person looking, like Harry Potter looking for his glasses going? But for some reason, these graboids are millions and millions of years old. And they're highly successfully evolved creatures, but it only goes about 3.5 inches to look for his foot. And then
Yeah.
it stops. And like there's 28 feet of tentacle down there going,
Yeah.
maybe it's like a cat just being like, I'm just gonna freak him out a little bit. Maybe he gets a kick out of it,
I mean, that's why, like, I think these movies they're fun on the first watch, but like I said, like, their rewatchability is not that high.
Yeah.
Like, they're enjoyable, but the more you watch them, the more you start to be like,
You find
wait
all the
a
holes.
second.
No pun
The
intended.
plot tunnels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plot tunnel.
But thank you. But that brings us back to why we like these movies. Is
Yeah.
we like the people.
oh yeah,
Even the idiots are likable idiots. Like even Melvin is actually kind of charming in a stupid way.
Yeah.
But Bert is. If you told me I would fall in love with a science fiction gun nut, I'd be like, no. But yeah, I love Bert. He's awesome. Even when he's down, he's awesome. When he's like, any questions, hombre? It's like he's awesome.
like he's so
all the
over
characters
top.
are great.
That's
Right,
what
yeah,
makes
that's
him
what it
so
is.
so like.
One of the parts that surprised me the most was when he gets eaten in the barrel, and then, you know, is still talking on the radio, and then goes and gets cut out with the chainsaw and everything, and he just comes out and is like, we are going to keep this between ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he puts his sunglasses with all the goo on him. And, like, that was brilliant.
That was great.
Just a great moment. We could in the future do a whole panel on people who've been swallowed whole by things like Tommy Lee Jones and Men in Black. And
Yeah.
I had to go get my gun. You know, so there's all kinds of moments like that. The where I was going with that is the first time I saw Miguel die, I really actually was upset.
Yeah.
I was like, you killed him. I like him.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Yeah, so I was really impressed that I really cared about him, and then when he got killed by an ass blaster, it was like, oh, but I was watching.
Yeah, he was one of the originals. I mean,
Yeah.
he was like,
Yeah.
What?
He's such a likable actor.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
I haven't seen any of these movies, but I'm having a comment or a realization. With Jurassic Park, what you guys are talking about, the third one, you guys don't care about the characters, you guys don't care about the movie. This one, you care about the characters, and the movie matters then.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
Character development is so important.
And I didn't like Jack
You
at
can't
first. I was like, okay, this is like a blend of Brad Pitt, you know, tipping the cowboy hat kind of thing, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then just some scuzzball, you know, money maker tourist trap
Right.
guy,
But
and
he
used
has
car
a
salesman.
personality. He's not just screaming and sad.
But he grew on me. He grew on me some,
Yeah.
and then the budding romance with
Ms. Chung.
yes, Miss Chung,
I forget her first name. It wasn't Nancy, was it?
Sandra
Sandra?
Chung, I think.
Chang.
Yeah.
Chang. Thank you. Yes. And the retail lady. It's like, let me show you the demographics of the next 75 quarters. She was awesome. I loved her.
I was telling Darren, I really want, so in one of the scenes you see one of those like hula girl dancing things on the dashboard. Like, I want a mini one of those, but of the graboid that they had on the top of the truck
Yes.
with the thing like that. I want that on my dashboard.
Yeah.
I wonder
Okay,
if
so the best-
Pop has probably made one by now.
I hope so.
That might need to get censored though, in a movie. I mean, like, okay, so I kind of zoned out while I was watching, like, the first couple minutes of it. So I was watching it, but, like, I zoned out in my head. And so, like, I got ripped back in when the first graboid popped up and started flopping against the fence, and I was like, hang on, what's happening? What am I watching? Am I watching the right movie? Because in my head, I didn't see a graboid. It was flippity floppity, and it was flesh colored, man.
You're
I
like, where
think-
did what section of the
What-
internet am I on?
Right.
What movie am I watching?
best-
Black censor bar right here.
Double check.
Okay.
Clear your searches.
This is
All
all right.
It
Let's-
brought
let's
me
just
back.
Let's just take 30, 40 seconds and just absorb all that and have a moment of zen. My
awesome.
my
That's
favorite.
It's a bit shocking.
That's great.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
great.
My favorite line from the whole movie is, "These have 4 tentacles. They look ridiculous. I'm not paying for them." Wait. They're graboids. They put in one too many tentacles. They look ridiculous? Okay, all right, okay. So yeah, I love that. That to me sums up the whole movie. Because Jack's not, okay, so real quick on Jack. I see your hand, Robert. Real quick on Jack. When the graboids are not there, he's a money-grubbing used car salesman, as Kyle said. But as soon as the graboids are real, he goes, oh wait, hold on, they're real. And then he doesn't do a personality flip. It's just the situation changes so drastically that you suddenly realize that he's not unheroic. It's just that he's trying to make a living, and he thinks that's a really great way to do it, is scamming fools for their cash so they can go, be chased around by a fire extinguisher, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I love.
But the hero worship was real. He really did
Yeah.
idolize Bert.
Really did.
And he went by the end, the climax, he really gets into it, even coming up with the idea for the potato cannon.
Yep.
So that saved the day,
I think that goes back to what she was saying
You
with
were just
development.
Talking
Yeah.
about the graboid with the tentacles. And we sort of joke about it, that you'd say this isn't right. But if somebody was selling one over in the dealer room and it had the wrong number, I guarantee you everybody would be going, that's not right.
Right.
No, that is a very good point. I mean, that is a very good point, because that character spoke to us, I think, on that very on that nerd level, on that level of wanting the toys to be accurate. You know,
Yeah.
like there's some of the gifts that we have this weekend that I've seen been passed around. I look at them and I go, that's not the way I would have done that. I'm like, okay, that's such a nerdy thing to say. Is well, that's not exactly correct. And yes, so it could also be that they're calling out to us who are fans of the Tremors series, and I'm sure there's all kinds of online forums and discussion threads and Facebook groups where they're like trying to figure out exactly how the graboids work. And they're just having fun with it.
There totally are. I have a friend who is a gun nut, and he is totally into, like, this is like his
It's so
favorite
accurate.
series. Like,
Excellent.
Bert is his hero, so like, that's, yeah.
Well, which hurt, like I was saying earlier, kind of kept pulling me out and back in a little bit, was the CGI was so bad.
Yes.
Maybe that's
Yes,
why
it
It was so
confusing
bad
for this
on,
one, yeah.
yeah, on the graboids coming out and,
Yeah, it was maybe around 2000, I
yeah, 2001, right.
Well,
Yep,
what's weird
yep.
is like the original Tremors, they used a lot of practical effects, and it looks really good.
Mhm.
Like,
Really
if
good.
you go back and watch that one, it looks amazing. And
Yeah.
then like, I mean, it's goofy, but it's awesome. Like, there's a lot of really good scenes in that. But then this one, it's like, ooh, I see your budget went to CGI. Ooh, I don't think you hired the right company, or you didn't pay them enough. Ooh, this was rushed. And it was direct-to-video too. This was a direct-to-video.
Yeah,
film,
I'm pretty sure it
so
was.
You can kind of see it in the budget
Yeah.
a little bit.
It was almost like 2D, you know, like Monty Python Flying Circus,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that added to
Animation.
the cheese factor.
And the
but-
fighter jet sound effect.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I know it came out in 2001, and you're like, oh, well, you know, CGI, but you had Lord of the Rings coming out around that time too.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
compare
That's a
that.
good
but-
point.
Yeah, it's not a fair
But
comparison.
isn't that true, that you can do a lot of things with movies cheap? You can't do CGI cheap.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if they do CGI cheap, it's either really bad, or it's like you're on a roller coaster, because it goes so fast
Yeah.
that you can't notice it. So
Yeah.
CGI is the one thing you can't go cheap on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like the original Jurassic Park, didn't it come out in like 1994 or something
93.
like that? 93.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like this should have looked better, you know, like it had almost, it had a good while.
Like you really wanted them to go back and just do all practical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there is this one little nod to classic horror, which I thought it's one of my favorite bits of the film, where it's very dark and all you see is the moon, and you hear a cow, and the cow moves, and then the cow screams, and then it's quiet.
yeah, yeah,
And I was like, dude, that's it. That's the way you do it. It's nothing but sound effects.
Yeah, they
Right.
did, oh, sorry, are you done?
No, yes.
Oh,
go ahead.
okay. Yeah, they did trick me though in the beginning because when they were in the shop and the camera zoomed in on the comic books and like they went through Graboids 1 or whatever, and Tremors 2 and Tremors 3 and like I thought it was like
Yeah, like,
showing us what we were going to be seeing in the third movie or
Oh,
something.
like a creep show type.
Yeah,
of
because I didn't see the second one. I skipped the second one. I went from 1 to 3.
You didn't.
yeah, they
So-
had graboids versus shriekers.
Right, so you had like graboids, and then graboids versus shriekers, and then like something, or shriekers, and then graboids versus shriekers on the third one. And I'm like, oh, that must be what the movie's about. No. But it was, I like the dragons, because I like dragons, so I'm cool with it.
But you gotta
They were reverse dragons.
yeah.
They were.
I mean, what they
Fire
Right.
went out the other end.
reverse. Oh god.
Never mind. I love it.
I forgot what I was going to say. I like the fact that they set this story up where Bert's got everything under control. Everything's all set up and ready to go. It's been 11 years, we haven't seen anything, and then all of a sudden they're different and everybody's starting all over again.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts was when Ariana Richards' character, Ariana Richards was the little girl in the original Jurassic Park. She did a cameo in Jurassic Park 2, so that's part of our tie-in here, which we always find. But she immediately got into heroic leadership mode.
Yeah.
She's like, don't move, swallow your gum, everybody throw something over there, we'll run the other direction. She just was on. And it was great to see them develop her character a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
Yeah, I love seeing also the boy from the first one come back, and now he's the real estate agent, right?
Yeah. Melvin.
Yeah.
Still a douchebag.
Yes.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about them leaving him stranded out in the middle of a graboid field. I'm not 100% okay with that. Not 100% not okay with that. I'm like,
But this whole franchise kind of walks that line
Yeah.
of like, okay, it's really dangerous and life-threatening,
But it's funny.
but yet also we can
Yeah.
wouldn't just
Yeah.
leave them out there. They'll get back okay.
Oh yeah, you're just waiting for someone to come in and go, my friend got eaten, you know, it's like, what? Yeah, sometimes the humor is really intentionally misplaced to make us go, what?
Yeah, and I think it's like, it's really interesting looking at this, at the third one compared to the first one, because like the first one has so many just like good, terrifying moments. Like when
Yeah.
the lady's in her car and like that it's being sucked down
They
into
took
the
the
ground and everything.
Yeah.
Like that's terrifying. There's
The-
a lot of, and when they find the guy on the telephone
Guy
pole,
in the tower
That
who
kind of
starved
stuff.
to death
I
intentionally.
think
yeah,
there
that
was,
kind of stuff is amazing.
I
That
think
was
they
really great.
just practiced a little bit more patience with the first one versus this one.
Yeah.
They were a little bit more impatient with the story.
Yeah.
Pacing.
The
Yeah.
characterization is good consistently with these, but the attention to like plotting and giving the story some time to breathe and develop that atmosphere, I feel like they sometimes, yeah, you're right, they get in a hurry.
Yeah, but I did appreciate that they did keep the characters' progressions
Yes.
in place
Yeah.
instead of,
And
the
the
regression
development
like
of
what
the
we saw in
creature
Jurassic
is really
Park.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just the same old thing. It is building on itself. It's just, it does.
So, unfortunately, speaking of pacing, we're out of time for this one.
Oh.
Any parting shots from anybody on Tremors 3? Yes,
I
sir?
think it made it really good because you took the Burt character, instead of just making him gung-ho all the time, everything that possibly could go wrong with the survivalist
Yeah.
went wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, with the female characters, they weren't damsels in distress. They weren't
Yeah.
Correct.
screaming all the time. They took charge and
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually solved the thing, let them eat.
Yeah. And Bert referred to using a method laid down by Rhonda, who was the female lead in the first movie.
Yep.
Love that continuity, yes. The Tremors does a very good job of presenting female characters that
Yeah.
some of the male characters will then objectify or insult, and then the female characters come along and go, no, we're the smartest ones here, guys. And then and all three of these movies did that, which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is
It
great.
is.
I love that.
It is great.
Okay, panelists, anything else before we move to the third of the third?
Well, the last joke I liked too was Siegfried and Roy. Yes, deal.
Yeah,
The ass blaster is yours.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome.
I'd see that in Vegas. Yeah.
So I saved Escape from the Planet of the Apes for last, partly because I'm going to get emotional and break down, and I wanted to do that at the end of the panel rather than the middle of the panel. But also because I think the Monsterama, if you've been to Monsterama before, you might know that we're big fans of all of the apes of various different kinds and versions here at Monsterama. So Escape from the Planet of the Apes. So let's lay this down. Some of this group has already talked about, was it the second one or the first one that we already did? The second one? Okay. So the reason why I can't remember is because I blocked out the second Planet of the Apes movie. It got a little off the rails, but then we had a discussion in the before panel for this where, well, wait, do you have to watch the, and looking back now, I'm like, no, you didn't have to watch the second one, but you needed someone to ruin the second one for you, because at the beginning of the third movie, they just go right into, all right, the second movie happened, go. And Ellie, you complained about this with the second movie at some point,
Right.
that when they went to the second movie, they just went, no transition, go.
Yeah, I was super confused on that one. But for this third one, I would actually say you could watch it by itself without the first or the second one. Because then it's more of a mystery of how did they get here? Because they don't even know how they got here. So you learn what happened with them.
Yeah.
With the whole story.
That's a very
If
good
you
point.
don't know the whole story in general, and they tell you about their planet, oh my gosh, that is quite a reveal if you haven't seen the first two.
Yeah.
So I think you could actually watch the third one by itself.
Yeah, imagine if you were just a teenager and you came across this, and they come out of their spaceship and then they just take off the helmet, and that's the first you ever see
Yeah.
of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm trying to
That's
imagine what
crazy.
that would be
Yeah.
like. That's a great point, Ellie. Because they do a really good job of explaining how they got to that point at the very
Yes.
beginning of the third
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, they do.
And you don't need to know that it was Charlton Heston. You don't need to know about the Statue of Liberty thing. It is. That, yeah. By the time I got to the third movie, I had a pretty good idea what was going on. And when the movie started and they took the helmets off, it clicked right into place with the overall arching story.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I did not have that experience, but that is, yeah. One thing I do want to say before we get too far into this is the third movie, I thought the writing and the characterizations were beautifully done.
Oh, God, yes.
The cast and the acting, oh my God, Ricardo Montalban. Dude, Ricardo Montalban showed up, which was just awesome. So somebody was paying attention when they put this third one together.
Well, and also my bae, Roddy McDowell's in this, and like we love her.
Yes, Roddy McDowell is awesome.
He will always be the Mad Hatter to me, so I always hear like Jervis Tetch in my head whenever
Yep.
he's talking, and it makes me happy. But here's Cornelius. I love him. Like you can watch all the movies and just see him developing and stuff. It's great.
And then Kim Hunter back, and she wasn't in the second one, I believe, right?
Yes, she was.
Was she- one of them was-
Joe wasn't as part, was played by David Watson.
That's what it was, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so they did a little switching back and forth. I looked up Kim Hunter in like IMDb as part of this prep, and I looked at her photo, and her photo did not soak into my brain at all. So to my mind, she is in the ape makeup,
Yeah.
right? So that's
She's
just
Dr.
so good.
Zero. Yeah.
so good. So anybody have an incredibly strong opinion, hate, love? Is this a cherished favorite or something you just tolerated? Robert?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved
I
the
loved it.
third movie
Yeah.
almost as much as the first movie.
Yeah.
Almost as much as the first, yeah.
I'm with
I love it. I actually find this one to be more like a rewatchable piece than sometimes
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah.
Because it is so like emotional.
Yeah.
I love it partly because I'm old and I remember the 70s.
Okay, that works. That works. That's street cred around here. So,
I personally love this movie. This
Yeah.
is like
yeah.
it was a joy to go back
Yeah,
and
especially-
watch it again.
Especially that ending. I was not
Yeah.
expecting that. Oh gosh.
But it just
Yeah.
has so much to say about the way we treat each other and the way we treat other people and the paranoia of humanity and all that.
Yeah, and
It's just so good.
I actually appreciated the difference in how, we as a society handled this, what we thought were alien races in this movie, versus, the difference, contrastingly, in The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original film,
Yeah.
where immediately we went to violence, just immediately.
Yeah.
So we have these two different viewpoints of our first reaction is violence versus in this one, our first reaction is peace.
Yeah.
And then it slowly goes into violence, and this
Yeah.
one it slowly went into
And I
peace.
feel like this one feels like an extended Twilight Zone episode. And I think that's part of what makes it so
Oh,
interesting
yeah.
to me. So
Yeah, definitely with the whole kind of fish out of water thing, and then when they
Yeah.
become celebrities and are basically,
they have that honeymoon phase with the media
and all the shopping and getting the clothes and stuff. And at first I didn't like that part. I was like, okay, is this where it's going? Because I had forgotten so much
Yeah.
of this movie.
Yeah.
And then and this is part of the beauty of these panels that you put together. Thank you for that, because some of these movies that I've seen only once and over a decade ago, I forget. And then you get to the end, and I was like, oh gosh, now I remember that, and
Yeah.
it was so sad. But also, like I said, this slow build of really a feminist film. I mean,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was
Oh, yeah.
so terrible, the misogyny and sexism and so forth that you saw kind of pictured of that generation, that time or whatever, and against them, racism essentially, as well,
Yeah.
against these others, and
But let's,
then to the end, yeah.
oh no, absolutely, absolutely, and you're welcome.
Yeah.
But let's be very clear, the racism was from both sides. Every time, and I'm not talking about monkey ape, that's a whole other thing, but every time they were like, thinking that they were gorillas, or the thing with the gorillas, the orangutans, and the chimpanzees,
Yeah.
like the chimpanzees were offended anytime anybody got anywhere near them being a gorilla or an orangutan or anything. She was upset at being lumped in with. There were 3 or 4 moments where her speciesism and racism kind of reared its head.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see that they weren't angels.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
They had their own problems with their own culture. We had our problems with our culture. And you've got 2 very different species trying to figure out, like we've talked about the pronouns thing. This goes beyond the pronouns thing. Because I don't have to emphasize the fact that I thought that Roddy McDowell's character, when he was called a monkey for the 19th time, and
Yes.
he had it. Right? He was polite, he was calm, and then they were messing, and then his wife was in distress, and they made that mistake, and
Yeah.
he lashed out violently.
Yeah.
I almost jumped out of my chair when he did that.
I felt for him at that
Yeah.
moment. Like, he's
Yeah.
been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and you're just like, can you please treat him like a sentient being deserving
Yeah.
of respect
Right.
at this point?
And this is one of those moments where I would say treat him like a person,
Yes,
not a human being, but a person.
yes.
Because they're people. So I've got a background in special education, and I just love watching them do the intelligence test stuff.
Yes.
And I really love watching that bit where she's sitting there going, "Look at the humans, aren't they cute with their little wooden blocks?"
I like her gesture of,
Oh yeah.
okay, what's next?
Yeah, she's so sassy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, she will not be quiet. She will
Yeah.
not filter. She
Yeah.
she will not keep the sarcasm out of her
I don't
eyebrows.
like bananas. I was just like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
get them, queen.
Yeah.
Because I hate bananas. Yeah, she.
Just their look. It's just,
Yeah,
And those were the first words spoken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I hate bananas.
Because they ate bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was great.
Oh my gosh, the military guy's going, wait, they have a suitcase? Of course they have a suitcase. They're wearing clothes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, even the psychologist, when they said they put on clothes and he's going, oh, it's mimicry, and they brought a suitcase and he stops.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we get them some raw meat? I said, no, they're chimps. They want bananas and oranges and they, what was it? They handed them oranges and they got out knives and forks and plates.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
That
just
was
like-
great.
It's just whoever did like there's a whole team of people, right? It's not just the director and the writer,
Yeah, yeah.
but there's also the people that did the props and the sets, and it's just brilliantly done. This movie is so well crafted that I'm sitting here going, how in the heck did the second one get made by these people? Probably, I'm hoping it's not the same people.
It's probably not the same.
Different people. But they did. They're like, oh, thank you for the oranges. We have cutlery.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I was talking about. You can just watch it, the third one, without having seen the second and first one. Because at this point, the audience wouldn't know that the chimps are also just as intelligent. They are people. But the audience might not know that at first, so they're with scientists trying to figure out, okay, so like, how do we communicate with them? Why are they using forks? And so that would definitely, for the audience now, we'd be like, oh my God, they're people.
Yeah.
It's like, why are they in with the gorilla?
I'm reminded of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where the mice were manipulating us through psychological testing and the mazes and the cheese. Yeah. Did you have your hand up?
They also, for this movie, brought in the author of the book Planet of the Apes to write some of the satire.
You can
Oh
feel that.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
good.
the point. This is the point in the Apes discussion where I'm contractually obligated to mention the book.
The
And
book is great.
best ending of any sci-fi from that era. That's my favorite sci-fi ending. And what I love about the third movie is that it gives them an opportunity to allow that the books, the way the book is written and the way it's constructed, could work because they just traveled in space in a spaceship and they had this story to tell, so they wrote down the story, which is the book.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
so, I know this is a little lit nerd, but that was my favorite part of the movie. Is it went back to justifying the book.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a quick,
awesome.
it's a quick read too. That book is only that big.
Yeah, and it's really good. It really is really good. Anyway, so we don't have a lot of time left. I do want to respect the fact that we've got people that need to go to the next panel. So unfortunately, we do need to start thinking about wrapping this up. So let's do this. Let's deal with the ending. We cannot not talk about the ending.
Good. I
I-
have questions.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to say is I cried.
And me too.
I cried.
Yeah.
I really
Yes.
like only a father can. And the other thing was that my wife, who is not a fan of the Planet of the Apes, don't judge. She was like, she said to me, she said, I'm not doing this homework with you. I've been good about doing homework with you for these panels. I don't want to watch this one. And I went, no, I'm playing the card. You need to sit and watch this one. She loved it. We were both crying at the end,
Dude.
and that says something if you know her. So the one thing I did notice at the end that was a little jarring was they actually showed Roddy McDowall's character. They showed the landing where he got just crushed,
Yes.
and I was like, "Holy crap!" They showed it.
Yeah, it's,
Right?
it's heartbreaking.
So it's like, but this is 50 years ago. So
Yeah.
did you guys have that same kind of?
That was really well done technically too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very convincing. And
And that's part of what, like, it didn't take me out of the story, but it really, like, I'm wondering if they had a discussion about should we imply that he dies when he falls, or should we just show him? I bet Ellie's got a comment on show don't tell right here.
They absolutely had to show it.
Had to.
Yeah.
They had to, because otherwise we would be left wondering, because he didn't get shot. Or maybe he, well, shoulder.
So,
No,
Shot.
Shoulder.
Also got shot.
Yeah.
No,
But, like-
but you're right, like, I keep thinking of, the end of.
Yeah, this, so
Other
basically,
movies
this was,
where they don't
that was
make it
not the
clear.
loose end that they wanted to go with,
Yeah.
clearly, because the loose end they wanted to go with was the child that lived.
Yeah.
And, I can't remember what the name of the, the first of their people to say no, or to speak.
Oh, gosh, I can't.
Was that the
wasn't
name of
Caesar,
the
was it?
child?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think there's some discrepancy
Okay.
between, they rewrote back that it was Caesar that did it.
Okay, because like in
Well,
my
It was
head,
like that third was an A.
Was Alma or something like that?
I don't remember,
Yeah.
but in
Yeah.
my head, I couldn't remember what the name was, and I'm like, is that the child that goes on to be that person? Are
I
they
think
pulling a
that's the
Terminator?
implication
Uh,
right
it
there.
felt like they were pulling a Terminator with that, where
Yeah.
it was a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yes, they were.
where they
Well,
created
yeah.
the thing they were trying to prevent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really the point of the Planet of the Apes cycle, is that you have this infinite loop of let's work so hard to prevent what we don't want that we make it happen with our
Yeah.
violence.
Well, yeah, because like, I mean, the big question is like, because when we see, like, in the first Planet of the Apes, we see that they treat humans so badly. And in this one, we see that humans treat the apes very badly.
Yeah.
And so you kind of wonder, like, did ape society learn that from human society that came before?
Yes.
And
yeah.
so, like, man, we suck. Like,
Oh yeah, no, I
like,
hate
it's just
it.
like we create this violence, and even after our species is gone, or not in charge anymore, like
No,
yeah,
this
that violence
movie-
is
Endless
still there.
cycle, yeah.
Yeah.
This movie made me hate human beings.
Yes.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a good movie for hating human beings.
Yeah.
But again, the chimpanzees are only a segment of a larger society that is just as cruel.
Yeah.
That bit where she says dissect, I was like, holy, yeah, that was
But you
a.
have to wonder if they learned that from the humans that
Yes.
originally they came from. Like that idea of like racism doesn't exist in other species. We've invented it.
Mhm.
So like that zoo perspective of like, you go here and you go here and you go here and you go here. That's a very Victorian idea of like dividing creatures up like and like. So it just makes me think that like even that is like passed down from humanity. You know?
So I want to ask you guys your opinion on one thing, which is who knew about the baby switch?
Or Armando did.
Yeah, he did because he said he did.
The
before.
mother definitely did.
The mother absolutely
Zero,
did,
yeah.
and of course the mother chimpanzee did, but
Yeah,
right,
because she said, we've already kind of bonded and
Yeah.
have kind of an understanding.
So maybe the
Yeah.
better question is when did she switch the babies, not who knew about the baby switch.
Oh.
Before leaving the circus.
I assumed it was that very last time.
Pretty much the day of the birth.
Right, but that's what I'm wondering
Oh,
is
really?
It
when
was the
she
day of the
says when she says we have an understanding already, you're thinking that she's already switched the baby at
Yes.
that point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. We don't need to
Could
know
be, yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
but I like the thought that the mom is going, I have to save the child. This is going to go really badly. How do I save my child?
And I don't think she tells Cornelius.
No, does not. I'm of the same opinion. Because if Cornelius is in on the switch, then everything that happens doesn't work because he can't be convincing. He has to be convincing. He's
Yeah.
got to sell it to the humans.
Yeah, he's
Or-
very emotional, and
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah.
But also,
Yeah,
like, he's an anthropologist, like, and she's like a psychiatrist, isn't she like a
Psychiatrist.
psychiatrist?
She's a
Yeah.
And
psychiatrist.
so,
yeah.
like, they're very intelligent, like, doctor level. So, I mean, they have to understand that at some point this is going to go bad. By that point, they knew things were going to go bad. So, it just, yeah, it makes perfect sense
Yeah.
for Zero to.
This is a movie that I will go back and watch voluntarily as often. Yeah, it's a good movie. It really is.
Yeah.
And this is part of a larger discussion we've had before about when you look at these 5 original Apes films as a whole, it is inconsistent,
Oh, yeah.
which is unfortunate because if you could insert something in the case for the second movie with just a piece of paper that says, don't watch it, but here's what you need to know, go to the third one.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
Yeah.
the average, I mean, just the first movie is amazing. The third movie is an incredible emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the next ones, but it's like, I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's such a
It's a
good movie.
complete story. It's a complete story. It doesn't leave you hanging. Well,
Right.
it does, but like they tell you what happens in the beginning, so therefore
Yeah.
it's a complete story.
But they don't tell you everything at once.
Yes.
Right.
Even the chimps among themselves aren't telling the truth in front of the camera.
Yeah.
One more question, then we got to get out of here.
It's just quick, that when they did the second movie, Fox wanted to end the franchise.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they wanted everything destroyed. When that was a success, it became a panic because Arthur P. Jacobs sent the thing to the writers saying, Apes lived, we gotta have a sequel. And the only thing you could do is flip back to a time right where before, you couldn't go in advance. The only thing you could do is go back, and they did an excellent job at doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and then in the filming of the third one, there's Sal Mineo didn't like all the makeup and stuff. He was having panic attacks under the makeup and everything, so they had him write him out.
Yeah.
And so, but then think about the movie if that had not happened,
Yeah.
you know?
It's too
Yeah.
bad because he was great as a chimpanzee.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep. All right, guys. So what I want to do is I want to give away some prizes. As you've heard me say a few times, we had Anthony was given a ton of swag by the sponsors. Has anybody not got this book already?
I've got it on my girlfriend.
You got it? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to randomly pick some Blu-rays here from the pile.
Oh,
There you go, sir. All right. Maybe see if you can barter. Did you get one of these yet?
Yeah, we got one.
Okay.
They're everywhere.
Did you get one of these yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'm taking these home.
You've done too good a job of
We'll
giving out
see if any of
gifts.
the panelists want them. So if the three of you want to figure out how to swap around those Blu-rays, I have no idea what we're in for, but those were part of the swag pile. So guys, thank you so much for being here. We're going to wrap this up. Excellent. What a great discussion. I'm hoping that we can get this video up on the YouTubes, that it turns out good. What I want to do is let our panelists, starting down here in the purple half of the table, I'll let you guys reintroduce yourselves and tell people how they can find you on the interwebs after Monsterama.
Okay, I'm Kelly M. Frank. I'm an artist and a writer, and you can find me at morbidsmile.com, and you can find me on Instagram at morbid_smile. Basically, Google Morbid Smile or Morbid Smile Art, and you will find me.
I'm Ellie Rain. You can find me in my books on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or my website, necroseam.com, necroseam.com. Oh, and I have a TikTok now. So at Azel Rain, Aizelle, Rain with an E.
Need to friend you on TikTok.
Yeah.
She makes some fun videos, so you should go check them out.
Yeah.
And I'm Kyle Mitchell. My books of poetry you can find online, one called Slang and one called A Dream of Christmas. And you can find me on social media at Poet Kyle.
And I'm still Darren M. Bush. Check out my author's page on the Kindle. I've got some short stories up there and trying to work on more, but I'm definitely going to be here a little bit more this weekend, and then we've got Conjuration coming up in about 5 weeks, and then thank goodness for the calmness of winter season in cons, but we'll be back. We'll be back next year for sure. So thank you, everybody. On that strange note, I'm going to say thank you very much. Have a good one. This has been a presentation of Tables of Content. What? What kind of stupid name is that?